space a little bit just so I can warm up just for a few minutes. I love this street so much. This may be one of my favorite streets. Like, I'll just say my favorite busy street, because I have my quiet street that I love, but I love Castañeda. Okay, they have vegan options there. Okay. I am walking with Son. We're taking a long walk, but all I'm thinking about is food. I really want to eat when I get home vegan kvack with bananas. Has to be bananas, raspberries, some puffed rice cereal that I have, and then drizzled with some honey on top. That sounds so good. I wouldn't mind a side order of freshly baked dough. Maybe flatbread and kvack. I don't know. Oh Lord, no, thank you. I can't with that mess. I mean, sometimes I'm in the mood for that kind of mess, but no, not today. When I first moved here, there were no buildings. Well, there was one, but like all of these buildings here did not exist. This was just a dirt mess. And I used to walk my dogs here. The first time I walked the dogs here, the vibes felt so heavy. I had my 2 babies back then, my fur babies. One was a German short-haired pointer and the other was a dachshund. One was from Alabama, the other one was from New York. And they were truly my babies. Okay, I can't decide if I want a German pancake, the kvack bowl, or soup. It would be smart to make a soup right now. It's freezing. It's got vegetables. But I could eat the pancake with a vegetable stir fry. I'm gonna warm up in this gas station because I need a break from the cold. Beautiful warmth. Okay, do I want turmeric ginger, or do I want Moroccan mint, or do I want black? No, I can't be drinking so much caffeine. Yeah.
You just want tea.
Yeah, so hot water. There you go. Why are gas stations so fun? I got an organic ginger turmeric tea, and we got 2 Riegels, and it just started to snow. Unfortunately, it's gonna rain tomorrow, so the magic will be gone, but I love snow. I just scorched my lips. I'm not sure the lip scorching is the same pleasure as the throat scorching. Yeah, no. smells like apple. It was so nice. We had a quiet date together, daughter and I. Delicious. We had such a nice vegan Vietnamese meal, and now we're ending it at home with a vegan donut. Oh, okay. Okay, let's not shake the camera. Okay. Hello there. I thought for the second half of this vlog, I would do something a little differently. And it's mostly because I have received many, many questions via Instagram from people who have watched my vlogs asking me quite a few questions. So I thought, let's just do a Q&A. And the question I got asked the most was if I would be comfortable sharing a little bit of my background. I guess on Instagram and maybe here too, I allude to how I grew up or where I grew up. So let me just get into it. So I grew up in the late 70s and early 80s in New York, in the Bronx, specifically in the South Bronx. Sometimes when people ask me and I say that, I can tell from their reaction that they know exactly what that means. Usually people on this side of the world don't really know what that means. So it's, how do I start? It was a pocket of the Bronx that was, every time I've seen photos of Berlin or Dresden during the war, I think that's what it looked like where I grew up. There were demolished buildings everywhere. There was the smell of smoke everywhere. It was an area that the government had abandoned. There was an extremely high crime rate. There was gun violence. It was the time, I always tell people this is hard for me to talk about because it's like I can I can talk about it and I'm fine, but it's like my body does, like the moment I go back, my body start, like my knees start to shake. It's like a PTSD thing. It's like I can talk about anything, but it's like my body's like, no, girl, no, we have not forgotten. So you have to excuse me if I keep like stuttering or going slow. It's like how do I even explain? It was a time of heroin, of crack, of cocaine. Not really cocaine, but mostly crack and heroin because cocaine was like the rich person's drug. So you have AIDS, you have gun violence, and you have um, crack and heroin, and you have a pocket of the Bronx that the government just sort of abandoned. And I mean that truly, like, um, it very much felt like we were on our own. And because of that, and it was a predominantly, I need to say this because this is important, it was a predominantly Black and Puerto Rican neighborhood. And of course, you can be Black, Puerto Rican. It was Black, Puerto Rican, Dominican, and obviously sometimes that overlapped. You can be Black, Puerto Rican, Black, Dominican, as many of my relatives are Black, Puerto Rican. But that was it. That was my landscape. So you have a community ridden with heroin users, crack users, you have gun violence, you have just violence, and then you have AIDS. I was in grade school when the AIDS epidemic hit. And I just remember my classmates' parents, they were just dying at a very rapid. It was like suddenly they were here and then they weren't. And it felt like COVID. It was like people were just dying. And yeah, when you have an atmosphere like that, you will always find community. You will always find people looking out for each other. And that is very much what I had. I was never allowed to go out alone, but I always felt that when I would go out with my cousins would pick me up to take me to school, or my auntie, there was always an old lady or an auntie watching from their window, to make sure I was okay and that we were okay. And so there was that, like because we were so abandoned, the community we were a tight knit community, and we knew everything about each other. So in that way, I don't know. I really felt like I was raised by a village, because I also had my aunts. I had two aunts, my grandma, my mom, my dad, and my cousins. And I was the baby of the family, and they all looked out for me. So I need to say that, because usually if people understand like what, or know about the South Bronx during that time, they only learn about the gun violence, AIDS, drugs, all of it. And yes, that is all very true, very real. If you look at footage, that is very much my landscape. That's how I grew up. But the other side of that was that sense of community was so, so strong. I had a Black Caribbean neighbor who would often look after me. She, in so many ways, like the cadence of how she spoke. She was from, oh my God, Mrs. Kirpin. She was from, it'll come back. Anyway, but the cadence, the way she spoke, that beautiful sing song manner. And she had, between her voice and her face, and just knowing she was a safe person, that influenced me greatly. She had stark white hair, and she was the color of like a dark whiskey. And she had the most piercing blue eyes and the most aggressive voice. It was so booming and loud, but also it was the contrast of like booming loud with that cadence. I loved everything about her. So all of these people who influenced me my early years. And I will say other things influenced me too, which is that oftentimes when I see an animal, like a pigeon or something, hurt on the side of on the street, or yeah, people will always ask me like, why do I react the way I do when if they're with me, And it's like, well, first of all, I don't like to see animals hurt, but I think part of that is that I used to live in a tenement, right? And I had a really long walk to school. And I always walked with someone. The walk to the school, the first half of it was nothing but demolished buildings. Buildings, demolished is not the right word, they were burned to the ground. So, and no one had picked up the rubble. It was just rubble. Everywhere were pockets of rubble. And on my walk to school, I would be terrified to look in that direction. It was always to my right, because I knew there would be the body of a dog that was so clearly starved, that had starved to death. And I saw that many times. And yeah, I don't want to get too graphic for, yeah. And that feeling has never left me. That feeling of, yeah, what can one say? What can one say? So yeah, that was also I forgot to mention, of course, it was the era of graffiti. And the era, oh my God. I need to get my thoughts straight. It was the era of the beginnings of hip hop, which in my head I would say it's rap music. But yeah, it was the beginning of that. So you have graffiti, you have hip hop, you have AIDS, you have heroin, crack. Crack took the drug epidemic to the next level. Those are the beginnings.